Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. We are back with another Star Wars Unlimited Decktech, and I have a little bit of an update regarding myself and this game. I wanted to narrow my costs for this game, so I decided to sell out almost completely, as the costs were getting a little bit prohibitive, and I wanted to do it before Twilight comes out next month. So what I've done is I've decided to dedicate my time in this game to one deck, and I wanted to get my current deck list out prior to Twilight coming out so that I can show you guys how I update that deck as it comes, as new sets come out and as the deck progresses through the life of the game. And as you can see, we are talking about Bossk is the leader that I have had the most fun running. I really enjoy the playlines Bossk gives you. I really enjoy the interaction that you have with your opponent using Bossk. So if you're not familiar with Bossk, Bossk is an aggression villainy leader with an action of deal 1 damage to a unit with a bounty. You may give it +1/+0 for this phase. Now the second part of it is largely irrelevant. You're going to be using Bossk to ping your opponent's stuff most of the time, but occasionally they'll put bounties on your stuff and you can buff your stuff as well. Don't know how good that part of it actually is, but the deal 1 damage, that's what we're working with here. Its epic action is if you control 5 or more resources, you deploy this leader, so he is a deploy on 5, which is also very nice. And when you deploy him, he is a 4/6. When you collect a bounty, you may collect that bounty again. Use this ability only once each round. So he's a very strong leader in a bounty-based deck. We are pairing him with Energy Conversion Lab because it's still the best land, the best base in the game. If you don't know what Energy Conversion Lab is, its epic action is it's a 25 health base in green with an epic action of play a unit that costs 6 or less from your hand, give it ambush for this phase. So that allows you to turn all of your units once per game. Turn one of your units into an ambusher if it doesn't already have ambush. So the deck list that I'm currently running, the cards that I've chosen to run right now prior to Twilight of the Republic coming out. We're going to start with Space. I'm running a full play set of Kylo's TIE Silencer. This is just a very strong opening card in games where you mulligan aggressively and don't hit a bounty. This is a good backup plan. You get it down, you start dealing that damage early. And if you end up running against the Rey decks or the blue heroic decks that are making you discard, you can discard and then play this card. So 3 of those. I am running a pair of Disabling Fang Fighters in the main board because there are so many relevant upgrades around. Darksaber, for example, is very difficult to deal with game 1 for a lot of decks. We're making Disabling Fang Fighter a concession to that. There are so many upgrades that this is almost never a bad draw. So we run a pair of those. We're running a playset of Punishing Ones because Punishing One is a very strong 3/4 for 3. It has the same stat line as Millennium Falcon Piece of Junk. However, this one, when an upgraded enemy is defeated, you may ready this unit. You use this ability only once each round. So what that allows you to do is swing in for your 3 damage, use Bossk's ability to ping an enemy unit, killing it off, and then ready Punishing One to get an extra 3 damage. So being able to do that multiple times around, maybe even depending, you can only ping with Bossk once, but if you can use Punishing One to swing at their base, then ping to kill something with Bossk and untap Punishing One, and then swing into one of their units that Punishing One will defeat, it ends up dealing a lot of damage over time. So full playset there. We are also running a full playset of Imperial Interceptor. This card is just great value for removing other stuff from the space arena. Doesn't kill the lurking TIE Phantom, but it does kill a lot of other stuff. And then the last space unit we are running is Ruthless Raider. This card is so good right now. You can ambush it off of your Energy Conversion Lab, deal 2 damage to something, finish that something off with the Ruthless Raider. If Ruthless Raider dies, you get to deal an additional 2 damage to something else, and you've done 4 damage to base, cleared off potentially 2 units. The other thing that's great with this is you can just play it for 6, and it's a 4/6 stat line, which gets under cards like Fell the Dragon. Fellow Dragon can't kill this. This is a very difficult card to deal with for a lot of control decks, especially because you're playing it at a point where you probably have protection from Power of the Dark Side and other sacrifice effects. So, full play set of Ruthless Raiders. Card's very good. That is our Space Arena. We're running 14 cards in Space. I know that a lot of decks are currently not running that many Space units, but I think that the Disabling Fang Fighters more than make up for taking cuts elsewhere. We'll move on to the ground units now. We're running a full playset of First Legion Snow Trooper. This card is wildly underrated in a deck like this, because if you open with a guild lieutenant, or a guild target on your opponent's unit, then you can turn 2 ping it with Bossk and then swing with a 4/3 overwhelm off of an ECL or something of the like. It's very strong. Or you play this turn 1 with the guild target, and then it's same deal. You don't have to burn your ECL then. So we're running 3 First Legion Snow Troopers. If your opponent is a control deck, you just resource this guy. Phase 3 Dark Trooper full play set. This guy is the obvious an obvious upgrade over Cell Block Guard. We just run the full play set here. No real conversation needed about that. Super Laser Tech, full play set because this card enables some very nutty turns. You can deploy Bossk as early as turn 2 if you end up with a turn 1 price on your head and into a turn 2 ECL'd Super Laser Tech into something that Super Laser Tech can kill, which is up to 3 toughness because of Bossk's ping ability. That allows you to deploy a Bossk as early as turn 2. It's the nut draw. It's crazy. It's very difficult for opponents to deal with. Having your 5 resource leader out on turn 2 is nutty. So 3 Super Laser Tech because yeah. We're running 3 Jango Fetts. Jango Fett is also nutty off of ECL. A lot of these cards work very good with ECL. If you end up burning your Super Laser Tech, your ECL on a Super Laser Tech early, that's fine. We have other ways to get Jango Fett ambush. But when he attacks a unit with a bounty, he gets +3/+0 and overwhelm that makes him a 4 resource 6/6 essentially. And then if he defeats a unit, you draw a card. So this card is just insane value all day. Jango Fett is criminally underplayed. There are so many units right now with bounties. That may change with Twilight. I don't know. Maybe this is a card that gets cut for Twilight. But in this kind of a deck, you're enabling him. So we'll have to see. So full playset there. We are running 2 Steadfast Battalions. They have overwhelm. This is the Bossk Green tech off of an ECL. Just very strong. You got your Bossk out. You ECL in your Steadfast Battalion. You give Bossk +2/+2, or you give this guy +2/+2, and it hits something for 7. It's just very strong card. It's a concession to a card that is noticeably missing from this list that you'll see here in a moment. The other replacement for that card that's missing is IG-11. Again, great off a Super Laser Blast. Let me use the other one so we can actually read it. That Hyperspace Foil is kind of crazy. If this unit would be captured, defeat him and deal 3 damage to each enemy ground unit. Instead, on attack, you may deal 3 damage to a damaged ground unit. So this again pairs well in conjunction with Bossk because you can damage the ground units, then you ECL him in. You can deal 3 damage to him. He doesn't have overwhelm, which makes it a little bit awkward if the 3 damage kills that ground unit, but then IG-11 survives without any damage. So there's an argument to be made for both sides, but no overwhelm makes him a little bit awkward. But if he survives, you just swing the next turn with him if they don't kill him off. So 2 of him, because it's pretty niche, but it's pretty good. And then the final card we're running in our 7 slot is not Darth Vader. Darth Vader is good in this deck. Darth Vader helps value this deck, but Maul, I think, is better in this deck because of ambush and overwhelm. This card finishes off so many games because we get so much incremental damage in early. The damage that we do early allows this guy to come down and bash something that already has 2 or 3 damage on it and overwhelm to 5 or 6 damage. That just helps close games out. So we're running Maul as a playset. So those are our ground units. Next, we're going to talk about events. So I mentioned that there were other ways to ECL stuff in. So we resource these timely interventions. We have a full playset of them. We resource them early so we can smuggle them out later, and then it gives us essentially, optimally, it will give us 4 copies of ECL, which is very strong here. So we're running 3 of those. 3 of the best card in the game. Overwhelming Barrage, still far and away the best card in the game. Nothing does what Overwhelming Barrage does. So if you're in the right color to run Overwhelming Barrage, you should be running Overwhelming Barrage. Makes Bossk's, when you get Bossk flipped early, makes it really nutty because you've ramped so much that you can just keep the board clear and keep pressuring their base. And then we are running a single copy of Palpatine's Return in the main board because getting a second use out of your Maul is sometimes backbreaking, and you can even use it to grab a Ruthless Raider on curve. So it's a 4th Ruthless Raider, it's a 4th Maul. It's you can grab. It's way overcosted for it, but if you need a Sentinel, you can grab your Phase 3 Dark Trooper. It's just a very good toolbox type card for recovering things that your opponents have taken out. So that is the main list, except that we still have to talk about the reason to run Bossk, and that is bounties. They have given us so many bounties in Shadows of the Galaxy that it's difficult to decide what color to run Bossk. But ultimately, what it came down to for me was Bounty Hunter's Quarry is the best bounty. It replaces Vader's ability very well. It doesn't give you the Vader body. Obviously, it doesn't give you the Vader ambush, but it replaces the toolbox effect of Vader very well. So first, we were running 3 copies of Guild Target. It's very strong for that 0-drop turn 1 Snowtrooper play. Very, very strong, because especially if they play something like a Greedo, well, Greedo doesn't work because you can't damage it, but if they play a Sabine Wren, you damage it with Bossk, you have Guild Target on it. Essentially, you get to deal the 3 damage there and the overwhelm damage from the Snowtrooper, and the Snowtrooper survives that attack. So it's very strong. This is in here for the Snowtrooper play, essentially, and for late game base pressure. The second bounty we run is Bounty Hunter's Quarry. This card is attached unit gains bounty. Search the top 5 cards of your deck, or 10 cards instead if this unit is unique, for a unit that costs 3 or less, and play it for free. We have an abundance of 3 or less units. The best ones we can hit are the Jumpmaster, the Phase 3 Dark Trooper, Imperial Interceptor we can't hit because it's 4, but Punishing One is a very strong hit off of this. But this is easily the best card in the deck, and one of the best reasons to run a Bossk list. So we run a full playset here, and this is our crazy turn 1 ramp. So we run 3 Price on your head. This is the other reason to run green. So attach unit gains bounty. Put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. So you get to resource the top card of your library. Again, that enables you to get your turn 2 Bossk if you ECL your Super Laser Technician. There it is. Found it. And the final card in the deck is a single copy of Traitorous, because there are a lot of units that are just annoying to deal with. This is kind of our concession to... It's our main board concession to dealing with Lurking TIE Phantom. I don't know, maybe your meta doesn't have as many Lurking TIE Phantoms in it as mine does, but there's a lot of yellow Boba running around, a lot of Tarkin running around. So this card gives us an out to not just dying to a Lurking TIE Phantom. So that's the main board. That is all the cards in the main board there. Now we're going to talk about the sideboard. We have the part of the reason that I like this deck so much is it doesn't have any bad matchups. I don't think there's a matchup with this deck that you go into and you sit down and you look across and say, "Oh man, I'm going to lose." I think this deck gives you a chance against everything, which is what you want out of a mid-range deck. We can be super aggro on the right draws. We can be super control-y on the right draws. We're also not going to be the overwhelming favorite in any matchup. So that's the trade-off, right? So the sideboard, we're looking to improve those matchups a little bit. So for aggro, we got some open fires. We got a full play set of open fires. And then we also run a single Vambrace flamethrower, because this is so good against aggro, because it allows you to divide that ground damage up and destroy a lot of things. So you slap this on a Phase 3 Dark Trooper or something like that that just gets bigger over time, and then you're suddenly dealing a lot of damage. And what's nice about it is you don't have to attack into a unit. You can still attack into their base with whatever this is attached to and spread some damage out. So this is very good. I might consider cutting an open fire for a second flamethrower. It is a strong enough card that if your meta is aggro heavy, you might want a couple of these. We are running a pair of power failures because the upgrade-based decks are very strong right now. The Lurking TIE Phantoms, the Luke kind of got repressed by Rey a little bit, so you don't really have to deal with all the 1/1 counters on Luke, but there are still plenty of upgrades that you want to defeat in mass. Again, the Lurking TIE Phantom is a good option. The Tarkin deck in general, this helps to neuter the Tarkin deck a little bit. And then we're running a full playset of Guavian Antagonizers. This is actually for control. You can bring it in against aggro if you want to have, a 1-drop 2/1. We don't really care about the bounty against aggro, but giving them gas does kind of suck a little bit. So it's more for control. Who's going to have that card draw anyway? Being able to pressure their base early with 2 of these guys is nice. But where it really shines is as Saboteur. That gets us around Lieutenant Childson's. That gets us around their threats that stop us from doing damage to their base. So that kind of leans us a little bit more into the aggro. And then we run a single copy of Pillage for the same matchups. Again, cut an Antagonizer for a second Pillage. It depends on your meta, but that is the sideboard. So that's the entire deck. I am looking forward to upgrading this deck as more and more sets come out. I have decided that I am a Bossk player, for better or worse, and this is what we're going to be working with. So if you like this kind of content, go ahead and smash that like button. If you want to find your way back for more Star Wars Unlimited or Bossk Green content, smash that sub button. As always, thank you for watching. Have a great day.